investigation, a man from Washington came in and he identified himself as Jake. He was accompanied by another man who wouldn't identify himself, and so we just nicknamed him the Snake.
Jake the Snake.
Jake and the Snake. That's who was there. He was a pretty slimy guy, you know. We would later find that Jake was a person who was attached to the NSC, and his actual name was Oliver North.
And that's your first contact with Ollie North?
That was my first contact with Ollie North.
And so what happened after that?
We had, saying we, the United States government had pushed for a little rebellion down in Central America, a place called Nicaragua. They had pushed and helped organize a group of rebels called the Contras. They talked them into fighting against the Sandinistas. I don't know why. I have some ideas why, but I won't get into just my ideas because I don't know why, other than someone thinking that it's a terrible thing that a country have its own sovereignty and not do like we are. Have this
and not be ruled by the CIA.
Right. At any rate, the CIA promised that they would fund and they would back this rebellion, but a man named Boland came out with an act in Congress that after we had set this thing up and it started, the war was in full swing down there, didn't allow us to support them any longer, except in a humanitarian effort. So the next thing I knew, I guess because of my contact with the then Vice President of the United States, who actually oversaw, by National Security Decision Directive Number 2, actually oversaw all intelligence operations.
George Bush.
George Bush, having been personally handled by him, and him knowing that I was reactivated and working in this Special Operations Unit in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, they said that we want you to go down posing as a humanitarian down there. And in the briefing with North, I said, what do you mean as a humanitarian? He said, you're going to be a medevac pilot now. You're going to fly medical aircraft into these Contra camps. That's humanitarian. It's allowed. And you'll serve, in the briefing he said, you'll serve 3 entities. You'll serve the United States Army as a medevac pilot. You'll serve the United States Embassy through the military office. And you will serve, and that was CIA, that portion. And you serve the Pegasus operations, that we'll call it, because of your code name. And Pegasus operations are directly controlled by the NSC.
Now, was this North give you this briefing in Colorado when you walked into your shop, or was this later?
No, this was much later. This briefing was actually done in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Then the next thing I knew,
North gave you the briefing there?
Right.
So North walks into your shop in Colorado, says, "Hey, come on."
No, two agents walked into
Oh, it
the
wasn't
shop in
North.
Colorado.
I thought
No.
Jake was North.
No.
No, okay.
Well, Jake was, but Jake and the Snake came to the crash investigation where my commander had gotten killed.
I see. Okay.
At Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Right. So the people that walked into Colorado, that was not
They
North.
were just a couple agents coming in to let me know I'm going back to work.
Okay. All right. And then you were briefed by Ollie?
I found that they were actually NSA.
Okay.
So.
You want to explain what NSA is?
National Security Agency. They do a lot of the background checks and everything in the United States. A lot of the spooks who listen to everything that's said here is NSA.
Right. The communications mainly is their job. Like wiretaps and keeping track of all of us via the telephones, and that's their job. So you're in Fort Campbell, you're given this assignment, you're going to be flying in and out medical supplies, right? And where are you flying these medical supplies out of?
Out of the Contra camps. When I finally went down posing as a medevac pilot, we went into the Contra camps. We'd always take coolers in. Usually the coolers going in were C4, explosives, grenades, things like that. And we would bring medical supplies out, and those medical supplies we would bring out in these coolers, big 124 quart coolers, was actually packages, bricks of cocaine.
Okay. Did you actually see this?
Actually saw it, actually tested it.
And where did you do this?
We did field tests right in our medevac offices in Pomerola Air Base.
So before you put it on the plane, you tested to make sure it was real cocaine?
No, we tested them on several occasions. We didn't test every package, but some occasions they were delivered to our operations headquarters at Pomerola to take to an aircraft at a different location to fly out of the country. And whenever that happened, I would actually do a field test on it right there. On occasion, when I could get away with it without anyone seeing me, I'd do a field test on the aircraft. That was pretty hard to do.
Chip, you're flying out of what airfield in the United States?
In Honduras, we were flying out of the Contra camps into 3 airfields. One was San Lorenzo, one was Pomarola, and the other was in the northern part of the country called La Mesa. From there, the coolers were picked up by C-130s, C-141s, or civilian 123s. C-123s run by a company called Corporate Air Services out of Ilopango Air Base in San Salvador.
Corporate Air Services also being CIA.
CIA. And they were flown back into the States. I would find on a meeting on March 24th, 1985, that there were actually 3 different legs that stuff was moved on, and those legs were into Ohio, into Colorado, and into a little place in the center of the country in 1985 called Arkansas.
What airfield in Arkansas?
I know that there were 2 airfields in Arkansas. One was Arkansas Air Force Base, and the other one was a place called Mina.
And how about in Ohio?
Into Dayton, Ohio, and then in Colorado it was into Lamar, Colorado, and Pueblo, Colorado.
So you learned that the drugs are coming in then?
Oh yeah.
Cocaine?
Yeah.
On CIA planes?
Everything went through Panama, and then from Panama it was distributed out.
Were they CIA planes or military planes?
Military and CIA.
Both, huh?
Yeah.
Now, you tested it personally. Do you have any documents that would indicate that this is so?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
I had no idea. Of course I did. Of course I did. That was a loaded question, Chip.
I know it was.
I knew the answer to that before I asked it. Okay, tell us about that.
When I started finding the cocaine on board the aircraft, I decided, hey, this could go one of 2 ways. They could set us up pretty darn quick here if they ever wanted to get rid of us because of our knowledge, and especially because of my knowledge, because Bill had told me, Chip, watch your butt, buddy. You have some real enemies here in Washington. So what I did is we would be required to file flight plans when we'd leave Pomarola Air Base, where we based out of in Honduras. We'd file flight plans, and when we'd come back, I'd go to base operations and write on the back of that flight plan what we found, where we took it, who was on board the aircraft, and what went on during the flight. Basically, I debrief right on the back of flight plans. When a trusted Honduran official, who happened to be the brother of the Honduran Army Chief of Staff, saw what I was doing, he said, "We're going to keep these, in a safe place. This is our insurance, Chip." I said, "Oh, okay."
And those notes are available in, right? Tatum Chronicles.
In the Tatum Chronicles.
I'm sorry, those notes are available in the Tatum Chronicles.
I went back to Honduras in 1985 and picked up those certified copies that are in those. In the Tatum Chronicles, it talks about all the people that you've heard of today involved in Honduras, involved in the Contra cocaine issues. Not only that, it also talks about persons before it even happened, because these are certified copies that were sealed in 1985 by Honduran officials. It talks about people who needed to be neutralized and assassinated, and who later were killed.
And Chip, what'd you do with these documents, besides hiding them around the world?
I also published them in the Tatum Chronicles when I was charged with treason. I was told to give these documents up, or I'd be charged with treason and be put to death or spend life imprisonment. So I called the Secret Service officers that came in and told me that were tasked to tell me this by the president, and I called them in and I said, "Okay, boys, I've got the documents for you, come get them." In the meantime, we published this, sent it to the White House Library, sent it to the White House, to James Dorskin is his name, the personal assistant to the president, Clinton, sent it to Mr. Bush, sent it to others involved, and to Capitol Hill. And then I gave these guys the copy, the Secret Service agents, and they said, "You just signed your death warrant." I said, "Kill me, boys. Let's go."
And I might also mention that you had some other papers and other documents you held back, right?
Over 25 years, I was able to compile quite an insurance policy. These documents are nothing compared to those documents. I feel comfortable in coming forward with these, and the only reason I'm coming forward with these, I had no intention of ever doing anything with these, but when they went after my wife, they went after an American citizen, and that's unacceptable in my mind. Going after other foreign intelligence officers, foreign politicians and all, that's just part of the spook business. That's what we did in counter-espionage, but you don't do that against our own citizens. When you try to neutralize an American citizen, you've gone against everything I believe is right, and I'll do everything I can to expose the men involved.